Hi everybody, welcome to the ZENTS Wellness Room. I'm Alison Litchfield and I apologize for being a little bit late, was having some technical difficulties, but here I am. And today I am going to share with you some wisdom on finding balance in these turbulent times. I know many of us are starting to go back out into our lives, and it's been quite a time of quieting things down in our lives. We've all been sort of forced to slow down in many, many ways. And so, I think before that, our culture was running at full speed. So I thought it would be a good topic to talk about how we find balance and what does balance really mean. And I think that's a very individual question, and it's different for everybody. And I'm going to approach talking about balance from both a yogic perspective as well as a physical perspective. I am a body worker and I do structural integration, rolfing it's called. And this type of body work is all about finding balance in the physical body, but actually it's finding balance in the physical body so that we can find more balance in our lives. When we carry ourselves a certain way and when we stand a certain way in our body, and when we have balance between front and back and gravity and the sky, we walk through the world in a very different way than when we're imbalanced and when our muscles are, pulling on us in certain ways, and when we have overdeveloped muscles in one area and underdeveloped muscles in another area. It creates all kinds of structural imbalance and discomfort in the body. So we'll talk a little bit about it from both that physical perspective as well as from a more yogic spiritual perspective. And I'll give you an example in one of the yogic texts, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, one of the main yogic texts. One of the principles talks about, there's the Sanskrit term, I'll mention it, but it's not as important what the term is, but the abhyasa and vairagya is what it's called, vairagya. And abhyasa means practice, and it means showing up in our lives. It's a level of discipline and commitment to working through challenges in our lives, right? The opposite of that would be vairagya, which is non-attachment, is letting go. And so we are always seeking this balance of showing up and doing our work and doing our practice, and then simultaneously letting go and releasing and surrendering. There's certain things in our lives that we don't have control over, so that's where that practice of vairagya really comes in handy. And then in the spiritual practice, the abhyasa is, if we were to approach this in yogic terms, it's about showing up on a daily basis to do your practice, to do your breathwork practice, to take your morning walk, to do whatever spiritual practice you might have in your life. Maybe it's just being in nature, but it's finding that balance always of the showing up and the letting go. So balance, for me, balance is about dynamic integration. And it's something I feel that we're always in a conversation with in our lives. And we don't really know that we get off balance until we're there. So, a good example of this is in our diets, right? If we eat a lot of sugar and we drink a lot of caffeine and we drink a lot of alcohol, and we're eating a not very good, wholesome diet, we're going to start to not feel so good. It's going to start to show up as, fatigue, stress, low energy, we're going to start to feel very out of balance. And then if we take that abhyasa, that commitment, that discipline to eat a more wholesome, nutritious diet with whole foods and our balance of fats and vegetables and fruits and proteins, we're going to start to go back the other way, and the body's going to start to find balance because we're committing to taking care of ourselves. Right now we could go, I live in Boulder, Colorado, so people go to the extreme on being healthy, and then it actually becomes rigid. So then we have to practice vairagya, which is that non-attachment, right? It's the letting go. And when we're working it in a yoga pose, a physical yoga pose, you might get into a posture and work the alignment, get your body into a place where your joints are lined up, where the energy is flowing, where you can breathe. And then there's a point of just letting go and being. So it really comes down to balance. For me, comes down to doing versus being. We need a certain amount of doing just to be in the world, right? Unless you're living out in the woods and off-grid, most of us need to get up in the morning and, take care of our bodies, take care of our nutrition, and then spend a certain amount of our day working and making a living. And then towards the end of the day, we start to wind down. And if we have family, we're taking care of our families and getting adequate sleep. And all of those things that keep us in balance. Now, we all know that when we overwork, we push ourselves too hard, that can create a lot of imbalance too. So to me, balance is about listening, and actually about learning how to discern when we get out of balance. So in a little bit, I'm going to give you guys a breath work practice, and the breath is actually a great tool to work with balance, because in the Rolfing tradition, we work very closely with breath, and we often look at people as either inhalation fixed, where we know how to inhale and we're living very much up and out in that more expansive state, or somebody who might be more exhalation fixed. Maybe the shoulders are forward, maybe the lungs are a little bit collapsed, maybe there's a little more of a down and in energy, which isn't, neither of them are good or bad. They just happen to be patterns that we take on in our lives. So the breath is a great place to start by looking at wow, am I more working with inhalation all the time, or am I more kind of fixed in the exhalation place? And so the breath can be a great teacher in this place. Something keeps coming up on my phone. So balance, yeah. So looking at it from that physical perspective of, am I in balance in terms of my physical body? There's a great model in Rolfing called the tensegrity model, where the fascia, which is what holds the body together, basically holds all the muscles, all the joints, all the bones in place. When fascia goes out of balance, it pulls things in one direction. Okay? And so then everything else sort of goes in that direction, and we lose our balance and our equilibrium in a way. And so in Rolfing, we're always looking to release the fascia so that the body can then find its way back to a balanced and easeful place. And tensegrity really means to have that balanced action in the body, right? Everything's equally pulling on the other, pushing and pulling. So the same can go for our spiritual practice. How much are we showing up and doing our personal development, or our breath work, or our yoga practice, our energy work? And how much are we then taking that work out into the world, right? And sometimes we see, I know in my life, I've been in times in my life where I've been really out of balance in terms of too much practice and too much spiritual work. And there have been times where I've had to, really let go of all that work and just be and just live. So I know that's a lot. It's a lot to think about. But I feel that balance is such an important thing for us to just to contemplate right now. Where in my life am I in balance? Where in my life am I out of balance? And often I think the out of balance place is just a teacher. It just shows us, oh, I've been eating too much sugar. And because that's taking me out of my center, I'm going to eat less. I'm going to eat more vegetables. Oh, I'm pushing my body too hard. I'm working too hard. I'm spending too much time at the office. I'm too much time in front of the computer, which probably a lot of us are right now. I need to go and spend some time in nature and walk and read and write and do more of that sort of creative life. Yeah, I think balance is a fascinating topic, and I would encourage you all to do some contemplation around it, and maybe some writing and journaling and walking in nature and contemplating, because we're all coming out of this quarantine time where I think we've all in some ways had to take a look at our lives and where we've been out of balance. It's sort of forcing us all to look at that. And I think it's just a beautiful time to step back into our lives and our world in whatever capacity we're going to be doing right now, which I think is different for everybody. But looking at maybe the places in your life pre-quarantine where you were living out of balance. Anywhere from the physical body to the mental and the emotional. And then making it a practice, right? The abhyasa, the discipline and practice, until that becomes your nature. And then at the same time, like looking at where the surrender comes in, where do we let go? It's that balance of effort and surrender. And I know in my own life, there are places that I'm willing to show up every day for, like my yoga practice and my nutrition. But when it comes to managing my finances and getting into my office and organizing, and that's the challenging place for me. So I encourage you to have some fun with this balance. On Thursday, I'm going to offer a yoga practice, and we're going to do lots of balancing poses. But looking at those places in your life where you could bring more balance, and working on them, practicing them. Usually they're the places that don't come naturally to us, the places that we are more challenging. So we show up typically in the places that are easier for us to show up, and then we often avoid those other places. So another thing I'll leave you with before we do the breath work is that balance of, this is more physical work, but the balance of standing and grounding versus extension and opening. And that's what I think we'll do a little bit of that just as we come to a close here with our talk on balance. We're going to do a little bit of work on that, finding that balance in the spine of down and up. In yoga, we call it apana and prana. And then we're going to do some balance from left to right. So we're going to work the solar and the lunar breath. It's called the Nadi Shodhana. And this brings balance to the left and the right side of the body, so the yin and the yang. I think in our lives in a constant dance with the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the down and the up. And when we find those moments of balance, there's a dynamic integration that we experience. So that's what we're going to go for in our last few minutes here together on this live practice. So we're going to just take a comfortable seat wherever you are, and you can sit up nice and tall. If your spine is rounded, you'll want to sit up on a blanket or a cushion. You can also sit in a chair. We're going to close our eyes. And I want you to just notice your breath just as it is. So it's Monday, maybe some of you are taking a break from work or just kind of getting back into it from the weekend. So I want you to just notice your breath and notice which breath might be a little more prominent or easier. Usually we have one. Maybe you notice the inhalation is much easier and the exhalation is a little challenging. So what we're going to do is just start with some simple breaths. So you're going to actually start in the physical body of finding your sitting bones down. So just on your exhalation, relax your body, relax your seat. Try to let the sitting bones rest into the floor, a sense of yielding. And then on your inhale, just see if you can find your spine naturally lengthen. By rooting down, the spine tends to naturally want to go upward. And you can use the inhalation to just gently bring a little more upward movement through the spine. And so now if you notice your inhalation is more easy or fluid, you can take a little more focus on your exhalation. Just following that exhalation all the way out, down, releasing. And taking in a nice full in-breath. We're going to breathe in and out through the nose. Just nice inhale. To the sides, front, back. Pausing at the top. And exhale. And if you're more exhalation fixed, you can bring a little more awareness to your inhalation. So as little effort as possible, but just enough. That abhyasa, just enough effort to start to shift maybe the pattern a little bit. And exhale. And find a little smile on your face. And now we're going to start the Nadi Shodhana practice. So we're going to take the index finger and middle finger in, and you're going to be using your thumb and ring finger of the right hand. Okay? So we're going to take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, you'll close off your left nostril and exhale through your right. And then we'll inhale through the right. And just pause at the top. Focus your attention on your forehead. Switch the thumb to the right nostril and exhale through the left. We'll inhale through the left. Pause, exhale through the right. And close your eyes. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. If exhalation is more challenging, focus on the pause between. Inhale through the left again. Pause at the top, exhale through the right. And last couple here, inhale right. Switching, exhale through the left. Relax the shoulders, inhale left. Exhale through the right. And just release your hand to your lap and inhale through both nostrils. Pausing at the top of the breath. Exhale, follow your breath all the way out again. And relax. Relax the jaw, the lower back, the sitting bones. From that place of release, inhale, take another full breath in. Breathe all the way down into your seat as you fill up your breath. And as you exhale, you can follow the breath all the way back up and out through your crown. Little smile on your face. And then we'll just open our eyes. And just noticing as you open your eyes, do you feel maybe a little bit more balance? So this just a nice awareness of how the breath can bring an immediate sense of balance back into your day. And it can be just the simple first breath that we did, where you're just doing some even breath and just noticing. I tend to be more inhalation fixed. And so for me, just taking, as much as possible, just taking a few exhalations where I'm really dropping down and in is so helpful in my day. So anyway, I hope that you all can find some balance in your day today. It's been a joy to talk about balance, and yeah, it's just a great contemplation to do in your life. So I hope you can join me on Thursday for a yoga practice around balance. We'll do a bunch of balancing postures. We'll do some more balancing breath work. And please go check out our Facebook live other classes. We have them all listed on our YouTube site for ZENTS. And there's some amazing wellness experts. So go check it all out. And I hope you all have a beautiful Monday and easeful going back into your lives, however that looks. And hoping that you can find some balance and ease. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Have a beautiful day.